to the Powerfully Gentle podcast with me, Rhiannon Griffiths. Join me for gentle and beautiful conversations around health and wellness, slowing down, sacred rest, and having permission to just be. To listen to more episodes, go to rhiannongriffiths.com, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or follow on Spotify. Okay, beautiful soul, grab your cup of tea, come and sit down next to me, and we can begin. Hello again, welcome back. It's episode 3, and I'm going to just put it out there right at the start. I want you to know you are allowed to feel your feelings. Yes, all of them. And yes, that's no matter what they are, what they look like, or however long they've been hanging around. So often, the dominant narrative in society is that some emotions are good, or okay, or allowed, or celebrated even, and other emotions are not. Some emotions we shouldn't show. We should squash them down, or we should rush through them and be done with them as quickly as possible. So maybe you've been told not to be so angry, or to cheer up and not feel so sad. Or maybe you've been told not to worry or don't be scared, as if it was just that easy. Or maybe you've been expected to be over your grief by now. You should be over that breakup or over that loss or that bereavement now. It's something that people say without even thinking about it. They say, don't cry, and they are well-meaning. They say it to babies, to children, to partners, to friends, because they don't want them to feel bad. They just want them to be okay or to be happy. Because, of course, that is what everyone wants. You know, if we look to our highest, brightest, best versions of ourselves, of course that includes happiness and contentment and all of the positive, uplifting, powerful, empowering emotions. Those good, in inverted commas, emotions, of course. But it's also often because those people around us don't know how to sit with the uncomfortable emotions, the difficult emotions, the heartbreaking ones. It's too uncomfortable or distressing or heartbreaking for them to see us experiencing these feelings, which, of course, it's understandable, but it's not realistic and it's not honouring how we truly feel. And it's not honouring those emotions in us. It's like negating our feelings or dismissing them or saying that they don't matter. And perhaps it's made you question yourself. Maybe it's made you feel like there's something wrong with you, that you're too emotional or too sensitive, that perhaps you just aren't able to ever be happy. That's just not you. Perhaps it's made you feel like you should be more in control of your emotions. Perhaps you're just not like other people who've got their stuff together, right? All of those sorts of things. But, oh, my gorgeous ones, no. Your feelings are your feelings, and that's okay. You are allowed to feel your feelings. You do not need fixing. You are not broken. And you'll hear me say this a lot within the episodes of my podcast. And yes, okay, some emotions are difficult. They are not fun to sit in. They are uncomfortable. They can be challenging. They can be super overwhelming as well, scary even. But they are just emotions, and that's okay. We can acknowledge that we wish to feel better, and we can work towards that. We really can. But we can do that while still feeling all of our feelings, honouring them and knowing that they're still valid. We are allowed to feel. Because in Chinese medicine, we know that all emotions are just energy within our bodies. They are expressions of energy that move through us in different ways. And it's worth noting here that I say move through us, and therefore they are not actually us. We are not our emotions, and we should never be defined by or identify as a particular emotion, as our emotions. But perhaps that's a topic for another podcast episode. But the key thing is that they should move through us. Emotions should move through us. And yet, if we stop the flow of energy, they cannot do that. And that's to say, if we stop it, if we pay attention to the world around us and the people around us, however well-meaning and loving they are, and we do stop our tears, or we do swallow down our anger, or we stop voicing our worries and our fears, or we just squash them down, or quieten any emotion that isn't happiness, then the energy will get stuck within our bodies. The chi or the energy just cannot flow. And as any of my acupuncture patients will tell you, it is all about the flow of energy. If things are stuck or stagnant or not flowing correctly, this is when other symptoms can arise. Physical symptoms as well as emotional or spiritual ones. Fear can make the body contract, the energy pulls inwards and down, and it can also freeze and get stuck, and we can, in inverted commas, become paralyzed with fear or frozen with fear. You know that saying. Equally, anger or frustration has a flow of upwards and outwards energy, that kind of volcanic flow of chi. But it can easily get stuck in the body if we don't feel that we're allowed to express it. It can easily get stuck in the body and come out as stress or headaches or migraines or tension in the neck and the shoulders. If it is unable to flow upwards and outwards, if we squash it back down and don't express it and don't allow it to be, it can have really obvious effects upon our body. Worry knots the energy within our bodies, and it often affects our digestive systems. I'm sure you have experienced that. You know, we can feel sick with worry, or our stomachs can feel churning. And, you know, we can link that to the expression, she tied herself up in knots over that, when we're talking about something that has been worrying someone. So the energy is something that needs to be moved and moved through and moved on. So you can see that being gentle with ourselves and working with the energy that is present in our bodies and present in our feelings is the most important thing. And not ignoring it, not dumbing it down, not making it smaller, not drowning it out with other things, and not making it okay for other people to handle, but just sitting with it, acknowledging it, saying hello to it, and working with the energy and with the emotion. And sometimes that will take time. Grief doesn't have a time frame. It's not like, oh, you've had a month, that should be done by now. No. And worry or anxiety can last a while, especially if we try to ignore them, or if we are made to feel like we shouldn't be feeling these emotions. In other words, they will most definitely stick around far longer if we don't feel them, if we don't work with them. It just prolongs the whole thing. It needs to be in flow. And not feeling our feelings or altering them to appease others or to protect others, to save their feelings, can actually make the bad, in inverted commas, emotions worse. For example, not voicing our fears or not being able to voice our true fears to others without them just dismissing them or just glibly saying, "It'll be okay, don't worry about it." Well, this can actually magnify the fears even more. It can make them bigger. It can make you feel even worse. Whereas sitting and unpacking the fears, sitting with those big, difficult, uncomfortable or scary emotions, whether that's alone or whether it's with someone else who can and is willing to sit in those emotions with you, alongside you, well, it is within feeling these feelings and being allowed to feel them that you can actually work through them. And working through the fears and unpacking them and coming up with evidence. Fear loves evidence. You cancel out fear if you come up with evidence as to why it's not going to happen. This is what allows the energy in our bodies to flow better, to flow more freely. And it can allow you to work through the fears and for them to become smaller, more easy to manage, not as paralyzing. And actually this goes for all emotions too, not just fear. To work with them and to know that there is nothing wrong with feeling them. So, where are you with all of this? Do you feel allowed to feel your feelings? Do you allow yourself to feel your feelings? Or are you constantly apologizing for being sad or down or anxious or frustrated? Do you have people around you that expect you to be happy or okay all of the time? Have you even noticed that maybe that's what's going on? That that's what's making you feel as though you're not allowed to feel your feelings? Because quite often we may be in this situation, but we don't realize that the root cause of our pain, our insecurities, that sort of nagging thing that there is something wrong with us for feeling this way, just because we feel things in a big way and we feel strong or difficult or challenging emotions on a daily basis, we don't realize that this is because we have people around us, or society in general, telling us that we shouldn't be feeling those emotions, that we should just get on with things and be okay. So, if you can recognize some of this, please know that there is nothing wrong with you for feeling all of your feelings. You are allowed to feel your feelings, whatever they are. Yes, they may be different to other people. They may be ones that we would rather not feel. But if you are feeling them and you are dealing with some of the more uncomfortable or difficult feelings right now, then know that I honour whatever it is you're feeling. It is valid, it is important, and it is okay. It is okay to feel your feelings, and it is allowed. It's not only allowed, but round here it is actively celebrated and actively encouraged. So, what might you now allow yourself to look at or express emotions-wise that you haven't wanted to look at maybe, or that you haven't felt able or allowed to feel? Maybe just start there today. Small steps. Go super gently and be super gentle with yourself. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Powerfully Gentle podcast. You can download more episodes and subscribe on Apple Podcasts to get new ones delivered to your device so you don't miss out on any of the gorgeousness. For further show notes, information, and freebies, please go to rhiannongriffiths.com. And if you know someone who would resonate with today's conversation, please do forward this episode to them. You can share this episode on Instagram stories, tagging me at rhiannongriffithsAQ, and also tag the podcast at Powerfully Gentle, so that more beautiful souls just like you can benefit from this ancient healing wisdom. And I would also love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Sending you so much love, and I look forward to sitting with you and talking again next time.